Hello, and welcome to the OnStage Colorado Podcast. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Toni Tresca, and joining us today on the podcast is a very special guest, Len Matheo.
Hey, Len.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
All right. This is at least the second or third time you've been on the podcast, so thanks for coming.
Well, second on this, but I was on one of your OG podcasts way back in the day when we met in a library in North Glen, and you had a little recorder in your hand.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Blast from the past.
I know. Back when I thought you had to be in person to do a podcast. But yeah. So Len, we ran into you at the Hot Tin Rough show at the Denver Center, and we were talking about this topic. Today, we wanted to talk about booze and bars and theaters. And figured you're an expert on that. So we'll get to that in just a sec, as well as a bit of news.
Yeah.
Our Colorado headliners, so shows to look out for in the next week or so, and look at what new reviews people can expect to see on the site. And and we'd also love to hear from you, Len, about what's coming up at Miners Alley. So what do we have first, Toni?
Well, I figure a great place to start is what we've seen since our last episode. And since we all saw Cat on a Hot 10 Roof on the opening night at the Denver Center, we could kind of begin our conversation there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, I just posted my review yesterday, I think. It was a really strong production directed by Chris Coleman at the Denver Center with a boffo cast. You know, we had a lot of actors that we just love in Colorado, like Noelia Antweiler and Larry Hecht, and Mark Rubal was on there, and
Jim Hunt.
Yeah. So, really great performance. What was your take, Len?
Oh, I loved it. I was there too, as you know, and I thought it was really great that the Denver Center did a production with I think a majority local cast, and a local cast in very strong, roles. Even Larry's an old Denverite who I think now is in Berkeley or San Francisco, but he's known as a Denver theater guy, and I just loved it, and I was excited to see Noelia on stage because she's one of the stars of my next production of It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play.
Oh,
so
great. I didn't know that.
It was nice to see her on stage, knowing that we're going to start rehearsal in about a week for that. So that's fun.
Wow.
Yeah,
this was a big moment for her to get the debut on the Denver Center stage. And
Amen.
Toni and I were talking about how, like, every time we see her, she just seems to get better.
Oh, she's pretty stunning, and she's quite a talent. She's a great musician. She is a really great character actress. Just one of those women who can do 1,000 voices. And as you know, she's a really great, performer, silks and all that kind of stuff. She's an aerialist. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah,
Definitely. And I thought this piece, it was really effective to stage Cat on a Hot 10 Roof in the round, like it did over in the Kellstrom Theater. It really makes a lot of the kind of cyclical arguments that these families are having kind of hit in a really impactful way that I'm not sure it would have if it was just on a proscenium stage. Having you really feel like you're in this room with these characters and you cannot get out, just like them, I thought really worked with what Tennessee Williams had written.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it was maybe a little bit odd that it was all taking place in their bedroom, I was willing to forgive that for those benefits that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and I mentioned to Chris Coleman when I saw him how impressed I was with the pacing because, the pacing is a real challenge with a show with that many words and that kind of length, and I think they really knocked it out of the park that way. So kudos to Chris and the cast for keeping that all on track.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to ask what you guys thought was the addition of the 5 children in this show, which I imagine that they probably get cut in a lot of productions. Was it worth it to have them there? Did they add that much, did you think?
I think they do. And I've seen productions where they're in it and not in it, mostly in it, honestly. I think it's interesting. I think it's especially if you cast them well, which I think they did.
I think it kind of adds to just like the rowdy atmosphere, and you really do believe that these characters are never able to truly be at peace because a child could always burst in, particularly when you have the presence of children who frequently do burst in and interrupt important conversations.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have missed them much if they were not there, but I really do think that adds something because, here's these innocents, although they're kind of bratty kids, there's this parallel universe that they live in while all this serious shit is going on with the adults that they're mostly oblivious to, which makes for an interesting split screen. So, all right. Well, yeah.
It also adds to the dynamics of the power structure and the privilege, that these are clearly pretty privileged children, and so you get the idea of how wealthy and who these people are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it adds a nice dynamic in that sense too.
Yep. And if that character of May wanted to rub it in even more to Noelia's character about she's not having kids and she's got this bounty and one in the oven, hard to mistake. So
yeah.
Great. What else did you get out to, Toni?
Well, we were both also at the opening night of Shucked on last Tuesday. This is the national touring production of the musical about corn, which you, I think, rightly described in your review as the Music Man plus corn.
Yeah, it's a silly, kind of dumb show that's funny as hell. Toni and I were looking at each other like, man, this is really funny. I don't think I've laughed. It's like every 10 seconds there's like so the script is from a comic point of view it's a ridiculous, silly script, but and nicely done, really great fun songs and choreography and all that. But you're definitely a good escapist kind of show to get to if you get a chance.
Did you see that one, Len, or do you have plans to catch
that
one?
But I know about it. I know about it when it played on Broadway, and I know that all the reviews / criticisms were basically the same. Wow, what a well done show that is absolutely just fun and silly, and I think the world needs more of that, honestly, on some level. Just that we should have the option of just being able to go out to the theater and just laugh and just not and forget the world for a little while.
Yep. The polar opposite of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Alex after I saw the show, I was like, once the rights to Shucked hit the market, I think it's going to be huge in like the regional theater space.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see Shucked over at Miners Alley.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. That's a good one for us. I would too. We really love to produce theater that brings people together, so to speak, and that certainly fits that mold.
Yep. And then another show that Toni and I were both at was Nice Work If You Can Get It, which is a Lone Tree Arts Center production, which I thought it was probably their best of their self-produced ones that they've done in the last couple of years. It was really solid show. It's it's kind of a bolted together, almost like a jukebox of Gershwin songs with this kind of silly plot, but so much fun watching Marco Roberto Robinson and his wife Adrienne Lee Robinson working together as the love interest together, and watching, man, it's kind of hard to beat a man, a couple like that to pull off that kind of thing. And not only the acting, but their moves together. You can tell they've rehearsed the shit out of this, probably a lot in their own house, because you can do that, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it was a very athletic show too, like a massive cast, very physical choreography. It's 3 hours long, roughly. So they are just like moving, and there's like 30 plus songs. Really is, you don't see a ton of like musical theater like that anymore, where it's just like packed to the brim with songs. And they're all very gorgeous, because like you mentioned, Alex, they're by the Gershwins. So
yeah, I mean, I was humming "Nice Work If You Can Get It" for a few days after saying it. Tomato, tomato. Everybody knows that song. And then the other thing was like the set, really a beautiful set, like really big pieces. And we were there on opening night, Len, and it was smooth. I mean, the stage management to make it all happen was really, really smooth.
That's
I
great.
didn't see any big hiccups or anything like that. So that one's going, I think, for a few more weeks if you get a chance to.
And I've directed both Marco and Adrian. And they're both incredible joys to work with. As a matter of fact, I'm talking back in 2017, I cast Adrian as Sally Bowles in our production of Cabaret. And it was her first big Denver show, I think, that she had done. And she just knocked it out of the park. And then Marco was in my production of Fun Home that I did way back. So those two are just a real powerhouse. And I don't think you can go wrong, honestly.
No, but she's got a fantastic voice. I mean, he's solid, but she's real talent there. So, and then one that I got to, I went up to Brighton to see the latest KVO work in Frankenstein. So this is Platte Valley Theater Arts. This is Nick Deer's adaptation of Frankenstein, which is kind of like Wicked or Grendel or some of those other shows. It's told from the monster's point of view or the villain's point of view. And Jeffrey Parker, just wow, what a performance! I mean, he it's interesting because his one of his day jobs is as a dialect coach and a speech coach, and he's a very erudite man. But in this show, he starts out not being able to speak at all. He's just sort of grunting and groaning, and we're watching the creature evolve like in real time to where it's like it's learning all these things, and there's just this awful. I mean, it's really dark and violent and sad in a lot of ways because it's all about the how horribly this creature's being treated. And since you see it from his point of view, you feel more sympathetic towards it than you might in the in the original. And it starts right when he's born. There's none of the Victor Frankenstein in the lab doing his thing or anything like that. But also super nice tech on this one. The projections, lighting, the sound, the music. It was all really gorgeous, and a nice, pretty spare set, but very functional. And they used the front of the stage as well. So another great job by Kelly on this one. It's not spooky. I don't know if I'd say it's scary. It's more just like dark and sort of depressing, but really interesting because of all the elements at work there. And so I'd definitely check that out if you can. It's only got one more weekend this weekend, so to get up there to Brighton. And then Toni, you had one that you kind of had a little some issues with this next one.
I did. So I made it out to the opening night of Family Theater Company's production of Claire Barron's Dance Nation over at the People's Building. And what I love about that script is it's a very surrealist, intense, exaggerated exploration of adolescence through the eyes of a dance troupe as they're trying to make their way to nationals with this routine about Gandhi. It's very funny, very over the top, and it's all cast in a way with older actors portraying these younger selves. So it's kind of like ghosts of these characters. And so the script is really fascinating in that regard. But this production I found to be really kind of flat. It kind of softened a lot of the edges of this really kind of hard script. And it kind of downplayed some of the more interesting moments, like the dance teacher, Pat, for instance, kind of makes a pass at one of the students in the script. It's written that way. And the student's supposed to kind of they're not supposed to like it, but they kind of enjoy parts of the experience of being noticed. But in this moment, it's totally flattened to the point where I knew it was coming and I just missed the staging because of the way it was kind of downplayed. And it was just moments like that throughout the show where you're kind of just like, moments that are intense as written kind of fell flat in staging. And so just kind of a disconnect I found between the direction from Dorit Henshaw and the script that Barron wrote.
Yep. That review is up on the site now, along with a bunch of other stuff and a bunch of other stuff coming up. It's been a really, really busy month for theater. We've been going crazy trying to cover as much as we can. So, well, let's switch over to the news. What's Len? I want to ask you. Did you see anything?
Yeah, did you see anything else?
I did not. Except I've seen the show at MySpace about 10 times now.
Is it any good?
And oh, well, what do you think? Of course it's good. No, honestly, if you want an experience like Shucked, Diva Royale it's 80 minutes of well-written, fun laughter. It's just silly as all get out. It's about 3 Midwestern housewives who are obsessed with Celine Dion, and they end up going on a road trip to see her in New York, and hilarity ensues. And it was a big hit at the Purple Rose in Michigan, so much so that they did it twice. And it's just been a big hit here with audiences. People just love it. So I hope you guys can get out to see it before it closes on November 9th. That'd be great.
Yeah, in fact, I think I'm going to come on Thursday, so I'll touch base with you on that.
Awesome.
I definitely want to see that. It's Jeff Daniels wrote this and also recorded a nice little video for you guys that you had on your socials.
Yeah, I have through my friend Paul Stroley, who you guys know.
Yeah.
Paul is one of the resident playwrights at the Purple Rose. He introduced me to Jeff because we've been doing so much of his work, of the work of the Purple Rose, not his plays per se. This is the first one of his that he's written that we've done, but we just love their work because on that same, in that same vein of really trying to entertain audiences and bring people together in the theater for a lovely experience. Someone might say shallow on some level, but honestly, when you can mix the comedy and the heart and put those two together, you really have a good evening of theater. And I think the Purple Rose has really done that. And one of our goals here at Miners Alley is to really bring people together, create a sense of systemic belonging as opposed to systemic othering, which I think we can all agree we're seeing way too much of in this world right now. So hence, that's why we love producing shows like this. So, and Jeff, when I met with him, he said, yeah, that he would do this, and he did. And it's awesome. It was just a really nice, it was a nice gesture on his part, to do that for us.
I'm also excited to see it because your better half, Lisa DeCaro, is in it, and I haven't ever seen her on stage. I don't think. Maybe in the Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, maybe.
I haven't seen. I think she does Love Letters.
Oldest Boy, a couple seasons,
and
2
you
years
got Emily
ago.
Peyton Davies on the stage also, and Amy Arpan, who is a brilliant comedian. So it really is an all-star. And Matthew Combs is in it, and I'll just say that he kind of steals the show a little bit without giving too much away. So
okay, great. Look forward to seeing that one. And whatever. And then after that, I guess you go into the Christmas season, Helen.
That's right. We're doing 2 shows in Rep. It's the first time we've done that. We're doing a new play by David Nels and Betsy Kelso, the people who brought us the Great American Trailer Park musicals. We commissioned them to write a play for us. It's called Stocking Stuffers. It is it's a sketch comedy type production about the holidays. It's just it's going to be in the trailer park tradition. It's going to be bawdy and fun, and it's got another great all-star cast in it. And Warren is directing it, Warren Sherrill. And at the same time in Rep, we're doing It's a Wonderful Life live radio play, and that's a real crowd pleaser for sure. But we also have an all-star cast in that, including husband and wife of Noelia Antweiler, and Britt Burks is in it.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen them together on
we
stage.
have the 2 of them in it, and Rachel Turner and Matthew Combs is in it, and Tim Fishbaugh is in it. And David Nels is also in it playing live piano as the background music. So it's going to be a pretty special production. And as far as Stocking Stuffers goes, it is Clark Destin Jones, Lainey Rigg, Narelle Moore, and Damon Garasio. That's our all-star cast. And those are some pretty heavy hitters in the musical theater scene. So I think everybody's going to be pretty happy about that.
So great. Well, moving on to the news. The first thing we had was Buntport is buying their building, which I'm sure is a story near and dear to your heart, Len, as somebody who's trying hard to, raise the funds to keep your fancy new building afloat and expand it. But they've been in that warehouse space on LaPan Street in Denver for quite a while, and I think they were leasing it. So now they're kind of leasing it to buy now, and I think they're saying they want to be able to share the space with some other theaters that might need some room as well. So, we all love Buntport. They're just such a great, such a fantastic group of theater artists who just do original work and take risks and are just a bunch of really, really fun people. So best luck to them.
Yeah, and it seems doable, honestly. I think it's 2.5 million over 3 years or something like that, and that seems pretty doable.
2.65 million over 5 years. Yeah,
over 5 years. So I think it's definitely doable, for sure. Yeah.
They're mostly pay what you can tickets, so it's not coming from ticket sales. It's going to be coming from donors, and whoever else can chip in. So if you love original theater, break out your checkbook and send money to Buntport and Miners Alley too, right, Len?
Yes, yes, we really, we are in the midst of the silent phase of phase 2 of our capital campaign to get the black box space built and the education center. So that's where we are. So,
how much are you trying to raise again?
Well, it's a total of $14 million. But that being said, phase 2 might be more of a $7 million project instead, so that we can take advantage of grants out there that have a limited lifespan, without going into too much detail. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Toni, you had another thing you wanted to mention. What was this piece?
Oh, I just wanted to briefly touch upon this podcast I was listening from the New York Times called "Bringing Broadway Home," and it's hosted by Gilbert Cruz, who was talking with Jesse Green and Elizabeth Venteli, who are two of the New York Times culture writers.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
And I just loved the conversation because it was all about ways to just bring the joys of theater into the comfort of your own home, including this just really lovely conversation about how each of the people on the podcast discovered theater in the first place, everything from like cast albums to like eventually getting to then go to the theater to see it live. And it just reminded me of the discussion, Alex, that you and I had on the podcast a couple weeks ago about all the different ways to kind of access Broadway outside of going to see the show, because we're two people who experience the vast majority of our theater not in New York. In fact, almost all of our theater. And you said you listened to it too, Len. What did you enjoy?
Yeah.
Did you like the conversation?
I love Elizabeth Vincentelli. I can't remember how to say her last name, but I love those guys, and I really like the idea of that. They mentioned a bunch of streaming stuff. I'm a subscriber to the National Theater online, and they do really wonderful captured stuff, high quality stuff, where it's obviously not the same as going to the show, but it's a high quality enough that you can really appreciate the theatrical aspect of that. And they mentioned the whole one-man Vanya show that they have there, which I have not seen yet. And of course, Hamilton really knocked it out of the park when they recorded theirs with like 20 cameras. God knows what they did. So I love that there's just a lot of access to good stuff online. And they talked about cast albums as the way that people got introduced to theater, or to musicals. It was very musical heavy, the whole thing. But yeah.
And I mean, that was definitely, there was an experience on the show that I found that hit really close to home for me. I remember my parents showing me The Little Shop of Horrors, a cast album. Then we watched the Rick Moranis movie. And then I saw this really fantastic live repertory production of Little Shop of Horrors when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And I was absolutely hooked, and I've never looked back. Still to this day, love me some Little Shop, and think fondly on that. And I that pipeline is kind of, I guess, the ideal of what people who do musical theaters and theaters want to happen, but just access it in multiple points just increases the opportunities for engagement, which I think was kind of the ultimate point of the podcast. Making things more accessible is not going to reduce people going to the shows. If anything, it just allows it to gain more interest.
So, well, moving on to our main topic, we this is a story that I saw in the OnStage blog, the National OnStage blog. They had a story about how about alcohol in theater and whether it should be something that theaters rethink. And they were coming at it from the point of view of that there's problems with disruptions from people. I personally haven't noticed that. I haven't really noticed drunk people other than like the Lauren Boebert thing, of course, was a famous, example of that. Although I think she was pre-drunk and high before she got to the Buell that night. But anyway,
which is oftentimes the case, by the way, when it does happen.
Yeah, because really, it's not easy to get a lot of drinks at the theater. You might go in with one, maybe you can get one at intermission, but unless you're like whatever. So we thought it would be fun to talk to you, Len, because Miners Alley has, I don't know, one of the charms or the benefits or features about Miners Alley is it's always had, in the old space, you had a great bar that called Sadie's Saloon, I think. Is the new? No, wait a minute. What was it called?
I don't remember.
Okay, so there's no name for it, but the bar,
that was pre when we took over. But
the bar in the new space is quite robust. You've got beer on tap, which is fairly unusual for theater bars, and plenty of wine and booze and stuff like that. So, I mean, do you have any trouble with patrons, being drunk?
No, not really. No, in general, the answer is overall no. However, if we do have problems, it usually happens around the holiday season. When during the holiday season, the reason it's so profitable and such a necessary thing for a lot of companies to do is because a lot of people come to the theater that usually don't come to the theater ever.
Right.
Families come to the theater to see Christmas Carol, to see Nutcracker, to see all these shows, to come as a family together. And so we see it more, if we do see some unruly customers, we see it around the holidays, and it's usually just someone laughing too hard or talking, right? Or talking out loud. But it's really, I don't really think it's honestly an issue. And I will say this, a total different trend that we're seeing, especially because we really pride ourselves on being a bar, not just that we have bar service where you get plastic cups that you take in the theater, that we actually serve our drinks in real glassware, and that we have really nice high-end cocktails. And as you said, draft beer and really good wine and a selection of wine, not just one red and one white. But yeah, so we actually, I don't remember where I was going with that, but we actually have a very robust bar that brings people together more than anything. Honestly, it actually brings people together and is a great place to hang out and meet people. And in the very beginning, we thought of it as a loss leader. Now, it's not a loss leader. We don't lose money on it, but we don't make a lot of money on it. In other words, we wouldn't be losing a lot if we closed it down. Mm-hmm. But audiences love it. Audiences love to gather there. And it's a great place for them to meet actors, to enjoy themselves.
Yeah. You were starting to say something about we're beginning to see, and I thought maybe you were going to say something about people being high or something like that.
Oh, no. Now I remember. I'm sorry. Uh-huh. We're beginning to see a lot of people wanting NA drinks.
Oh, okay.
So we have an NA cocktail menu, and we serve NA beer. And if you talk to any people in the restaurant industry, they'll say you that the NA space is really large. And if you go to any brewery, any microbrewery, you're going to find NA drinks. So we're serving a lot of that as well.
That's great. Yeah, that's the trend.
So it's the opposite of people getting drunk. People just want to socialize around booze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should point out that article that it was written about, it was not citing an American trend. That number that it was citing about how this survey that revealed 77% of ushers have experienced bad behavior from theater goers being drunk, that was from the West End. So it's across the ocean. So not necessarily maybe not an American problem. I mean, like you just mentioned, in Colorado, we're seeing pretty consistently drinking going down, actually. There's just less and less people overall who are drinking, like you mentioned, Len. And so I think it is perhaps maybe that article was maybe blowing the problem out of proportion here in the argument it was making. But it is, I mean, I can see why it's a concern.
It's like the soccer version, the theater version of soccer hooligans over there in England.
Trouble. Well, I mean, in the holiday season they do Panto, and Panto is about drinking and smoke. I mean, there literally, when I was there in the 1980s, there were ashtrays at the seats for the Panto because people would also smoke and drink in the theater, and it was part of the tradition. I'm going to assume the smoking part is gone now. But I mean, people do like to party in England when they go see the British Panto. And I will say this though, I think the bigger discussion is trying to create a sense of belonging in the theater, and a place that people can gather for more than just seeing the show. I am going to brag a little bit that we have been growing since COVID. In audience size. And part of that is based on the fact that we purchased a new theater and all that stuff. But the other part is we have a sharp increase in millennials and Gen X coming to our theater. And I really credit a lot of that to the bar scene, which was the original brainchild of Jonathan Scott McKean, who really made it a gathering place, a cool place to hang. And now that Jenna Mal Reyes, the actress, and she's on our staff as a bar manager, has taken that over, she's really created this bar scene where people order all these craft cocktails. You know what I mean? That she's made and named for each show, and she really spends a lot of time crafting them. So there's a whole other experience happening now. And we even have a happy hour now we're trying to market before the show.
That was going to be one of my questions. Was I noticed now you're even opening the theater. It was like what was it? An hour and a half before?
It's an hour earlier.
An hour
for happy hour. And I'll give you a little tease. Jenna, along with everyone on our team, has created a really great little video to advertise the happy hour, we saw the rough cut of it, and it's really good. It's probably be out today or tomorrow.
Send that over.
Yeah, well, you'll see it on social media. So the idea is we're trying to get people interested in this. It'll be interesting because I think that is the way you bring in younger audiences, is that you create a place people want to go. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
The theater of old can be a little stale, and all that kind of stuff. But if you create a place that you enjoy the hang and you enjoy what you're seeing on stage, it kind of, maybe theater can survive into the future,
Yeah. So for the happy hour, I mean, have you thought about having like somebody with a guitar or a juggler or any other kind of pre-show oleo material or something?
We did that during Ring of Fire. During Ring of Fire, we had a night where the Ring of Fire cast just came out and did some music, like not before the show, but kind of after the show. But yes, that has been in discussion. Yeah, that's a great idea. But one thing at a time. We got to raise $14 million first. I'm kidding, but it's a bandwidth issue. We're a pretty small house, pretty small group, but we're mighty, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I was surprised to hear you say that it really wasn't much of a profit center, which it certainly seems to be for some, like the Denver Center just gouges everybody. I wouldn't say gouges, but I mean, they charge a lot, like you've won a decent pour of whiskey or something, it's like $20 to $30.
Exactly.
Which is insane.
We don't go that far. We do charge a little more now because people expect to pay a premium if you're going to get top shelf whiskey at a theater. But the reason it defies logic a little bit is when we think of bars being profit centers, we think of restaurants. And in a restaurant, everyone has a drink, whether it's soda, which is one of the biggest profit centers.
Right.
It's like 10 times, a Coke costs like 20 cents, and they charge $4 for it.
Right.
Right. Or, but here people don't have to drink. So maybe a third at the most of the audience has a drink.
Right.
And so, and there's an intermission. And so maybe you'll serve a little more, but, so it's not a must drink situation, which is why I think, it doesn't make a ton of money. But here, the positive side is it brings people together. People have a good time. The other thing is it adds jobs because we do hire bartenders. You know what I mean? We're not hiring a separate company the way the bigger theaters do to run their bar, like an Aramark or something like that. We actually are bringing in working actors, and they're the same people, like Jenna, as an example, that you're going to see at the Denver Center. And she's also bartending at Miners Alley, which honestly audiences find really thrilling. They love it,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
think that's part of the charm,
I always feel a little privileged to have Jenna serve me a drink at Miners Alley, knowing what a great actress she is.
Me too, and I work here.
Right. I have
So
one
in
other
addition,
thing.
yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I was just one other possible thing is that do you have any trouble with spilled drinks, things like that? Is that an issue at all, or
No? I mean, it's occasional, but we have a carpet that soaks it up. We use no, we don't have stemmed glassware. Even our glasses are like mason jar style glasses, and so they don't break. When we break a glass, it's usually behind the bar. Right. It's not in the theater. When we had stemmed glassware, we would occasionally break a glass, and so we went away from that. But no, not really. People usually spill it on themselves. But the good news is, here's a breaking story for you. Whatever. We're having cup holders put in by the end of the year.
I was going to ask about that because you didn't have them put in at first. Yeah.
No, we couldn't afford them at the time. It was
those are handy.
It was pretty bare bones when we built this place. But we ordered the cup holders. We had a donor come out and support that. So we are putting in cup holders. So that'll be nice.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Toni, what else did you want to ask about?
I was just going to kind of pivot the conversation to other theater bars in Colorado. In addition to, obviously, we've talked about yours over at Miners Alley, but I really enjoy the experience that they've created over at the Savoy, Denver. That's a really
nice
classy experience.
Yeah. Well done there.
That they've got over there.
I agree. Yeah, and they do they and part of that classy experience is that it's a nice bar. I mean, it's just a nice bar.
It is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just that they have really nice servers and they serve nice drinks. It's a nice bar. I agree with you.
Yep. And if you go there when Mark Reagan's around, you get a great deal, right?
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Like, a lot of their partners make sure that the bar is open before the show, like at least an hour before, and stays open an hour after. So that's really seems to they're really trying to maximize the bar sales, it seems, over there.
Yeah. Vintage has a nice bar.
Vintage, definitely, yeah.
Vintage has a nice bar. And again, I mean, I'm not trying to throw the bigger theaters under the bus, but for them, it's more like a service, that they offer, but they're not trying to create a bar scene, or if they are, I didn't know that. But yeah.
I'm often disappointed. One of the things I love about Miners Alley's your bar is that you've always got local craft beers on tap, and I'll go in some of these other theaters and they've sold their soul to like Odell's or whatever the conglomerate, and that's all they have is or those crappy fake craft beers that Coors makes. And some that just annoys me. But I know it's probably cheaper or better, better profit margin or something like that. But yeah, it's something that I pay attention to. But and on the other end of things, I think I love the Buntport model where they've got a little fridge and an honor system that you can go in and grab a beer. And they usually have some decent
I like that.
local IPAs. That. Yeah, and they also set it up so you can just pay with Venmo and you can add a little and
I love that.
A little bonus in there. Yeah, so I used to think I had to have cash, and now it's like, it's so much easier. What other great theater bars are out there? I can't think of too many offhand.
I'll
in
pivot the
this.
discussion really quickly just to point out that, I talked about the great atmosphere, the fun that people have, but I also want to point out that we take safety very seriously in our bar, and that everybody who works there is tips trained. What that means is that they go through a training process that's run by the state or from private entities that work through the state to know how to serve people, not serve people who are inebriated. And so we really try to be very careful with not just our patrons, but our staff as well. Because, when you have a bar, we have a liquor license too. I'm going to venture to say that some of these places, meaning a lot of those smaller places, do not.
Right. It's a donation.
We actually have a liquor license, which means we have a real responsibility to that. And like, even like if Aramac is running your liquor sales, they have a liquor license. They're taking the responsibility for that. So there is that. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, it's definitely different if you're a nonprofit who is using your nonprofit status to accept donations for beer and wine than it is for a full-scale operation like you guys, who has the liquor license, has the liability in that respect.
It is. But I think it's the way to roll. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Just one more really cool one. This is a theater bar experience. It's the Springs Ensemble Theater Company. They have had to move spaces recently, and so now they're actually in the back of a speakeasy. It's called the 59er.
Really?
And they have it's incredible. It's this game store in the front, and then you go through this secret door, and it opens to this really rustic speakeasy, and they have full cocktail service, a bunch of really cool things on tap for you, and then full food menu as well, that they have a kitchen who's making it there. So if you are looking for a theater bar experience, that one down in the Springs, you should add to your list, because it's a really nifty thing.
Yeah. I haven't been in any space, but I want to go.
Dairy Center, although it's it's more commercial. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
They do a good job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have high quality stuff. I don't know how much they go into the mixed cocktails and all that, but I've never had a bad experience there, and I felt like they've done a nice job.
Yep. All right. Well, on that note, Len, you want to give us a quick recap of your season coming up in 2026 after the Christmas season?
Yeah. 2026 is really going to be interesting. We're doing some new stuff that we've never done. We are, in cooperation with the city of Golden, doing a winter comfort and comedy festival that goes from January through the end of March. And the idea is that retail, hotels, and restaurants really slow to a crawl during that time period in Golden. And so we wanted to create something where we bring people in from out of town to come to the theater. And so what we're doing is we're running 2 shows in rep between January and March. And they're both comedies. One is The Female Odd Couple, and the other is a new play by Paul Stroley from Purple Rose called My Mother in the Michigan-Ohio War. And both of them are just straight comedies. And then we're also going to bring in headliners from out of state. We're getting an investment so we can actually pay headline comedians. We're talking about bringing in a group like Second City. We're talking about really creating something that you could see a schedule for 3 months and have things to do while you're in Golden. And they'll be at other places too, other than Miners Alley Performing Arts Center. So there'll be stuff at the Buffalo Rose, there'll be stuff at hotels, stuff at other places where they may have live music, but maybe have a local stand-up that night. We're going to have clowning classes, improv. We're going to have improv classes as well as improv performances. We're going to bring in a lot of people. So that's an exciting thing we're doing. The rest of the shows in the season, we're doing Pump Boys and Dinettes, which is a wonderful jukebox actor muso show, which is going to be incredible. We're doing a world premiere of a play called Taco Town by Luke Sorge. So National Bohemians was such a great hit that we're going to do another one of his shows. And then we're doing a regional premiere of Goodnight Oscar that was on Broadway, and with David Nels starring in that, because he can sure tickle those ivories. And then we're not sure what we're doing as far as the holiday shows again. We're going to TBD that for a little bit, and who knows what we're going to do there. But it's 2026 is looking pretty strong.
Great. Sounds like a cool lineup coming up at Miners Alley.
Yeah.
Plus that amazing bar. So good luck with it all, Len. I'll look forward to coming out and seeing Diva Royale here pretty soon. And thanks again for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it.
I love you guys so much. You guys do amazing work. Thanks for all you do for the theater community. It really means a lot to have people who are always out there advocating and promoting. So thank you guys. It really means a lot.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, now we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to talk through our picks for the top 10 Colorado headliners.
OnStage Colorado was brought to you by the Aurora Fox Arts Center, presenting Lizzie through November 2nd. With a cast of 4 powerful performers and a dynamic live band, it's a fierce and captivating experience exploring the heated days leading up to the Lizzie Borden murders and her controversial trial. Tickets at aurorafoxartscenter.org. OnStage Colorado is sponsored in part by Colorado Candlelight, featuring Steel Magnolias through November 9th. In a small Louisiana beauty salon, 6 women share humor, love, and strength. It's a play that blends heartwarming comedy with moments of poignant emotion. Tickets at coloradocandlelight.com. We're all supported by the Boulder Ensemble Theater Company, whose production of The Thin Place plays at the Boulder Dairy Center through October 26th. Lucas Nath's play is the story of a teenage girl who claims she can communicate with the dead and brings a recently deceased woman back to life during a church service. Tickets at betc.org. Also supported by Miners Alley Performing Arts Center, presenting Jeff Daniels' Diva Royale through November 9th. It's a comedy about 3 stay-at-home moms from the Midwest who share a deep obsession for Celine Dion and journey to New York City to see her perform. Tickets at minersalley.com. OnStage Colorado is also brought to you by the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, presenting Raquel's Purple Pineapple Adventures, a joint production with Creed Repertory Theater. This bilingual, family-friendly show is about a girl who just wants to help her family run their campground in the Colorado mountains, but the worst has happened. Summer school. Tickets at fac.coloradocollege.edu.
All right, it's time for this week's headliners. These are some of the shows of interest coming up in the next week or so that we think you should check out. Alex, what do you have to start us off with this week?
Yeah, lots going on. I wanted to give a shout out to Bailey Theater Company. They are doing Same Time Next Year, which is it's kind of a fun old comedy about some cheating spouses up there at the interesting Glen Isle Resort in Bailey. That and they usually do a nice job up there. So they're doing that. It's up now and runs through this weekend through the 19th.
It's a cool company. Bailey's a very tiny town, very gorgeous, very picturesque.
Yeah, and the theater experience doesn't get more intimate. You're usually just about 6 inches from the action if you're in the front row.
That's right.
Yeah.
My first pick is over at Vintage Theater in Aurora. We were just talking about them and their bar in our last segment, so you can grab a drink and then check out Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous, running October 17th through November 27th. And this follows Anna Campbell, decades after igniting a major theater controversy, who's been invited back to the States to perform one final time. Or so she thinks. Instead of rehearsing for her grand return, she meets the young actress who's been hired to replace her. This is a dramatic comedy that confronts aging, legacy, and honoring the past while embracing an unknown future.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to do 2 from Aurora at the Aurora Fox because they've got 2 shows up concurrently, which that's not always the case with them. So they're finishing up Schoolhouse Rock Live, which we've talked about before, but that's running through October 18th. If you want to get a chance to go out and see that, there's also a Kelly Van Osprey directed show that I think is a lot of fun. And then they're doing something a lot creepier with Lizzie. So this is is the story of Lizzie Borden. This is a spooky season show running through November 2nd. And it's a musical version with 4 women, and it's inspired. The soundtrack's inspired by the music of Bikini Kill, The Runaways, and Heart. So that sounds like a pretty interesting experience to check out. Story of an axe murderer with music.
Yeah, a rockin' axe murderer. I'll be checking this one out on Saturday, actually, for OnStage to review it. So I am
Yeah.
very much looking forward to it. It's, I believe, a 4-person cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see it and report back.
All right. Can't wait.
My next headliner is over at Sut Teatro. It's Bless Me Ultima, and this is inspired by the Chicano literature written by the late Rodolfo Anaya. It's playing in the space October 16th through November 2nd.
All right. My next headliner is The Cult of Cthulhu. So we've mentioned this before. This is at Audacious Immersive. So this will be in various Front Range locations, mostly bars, but I think they're also doing it at, I can't remember. They're doing it at another space as well. So like, I think it's over like 3 or 4 weekends. So this is a brand new immersive parody that draws from the tales of H.P. Lovecraft, bringing a modern spin to his classic mythos of eldritch horrors. I don't even know what that means. And inviting audience to join one of the old one's dark cults. Do you know more about this, Tony?
This is all Lovecraft. It's riffing on H.P. Lovecraft lore. All those things that you've just read off there. Ren Manley and her team over there have said that they're definitely playing very fast and loose with H.P. Lovecraft. He's a bit of a controversial figure for his kind of repugnant reviews that he had. He was a well-known racist, and he wrote about it extensively in his work. And so Ren and the team over there said they're going to be really kind of playing with the mythos and creating their own thing with this story.
Okay. Well, we're going to be out at that on Friday, right?
That's right. Yeah, we're
look forward to that.
Yeah. My next headliner is the Rocky Horror Show. So this is not the Shadowcast version. This is Richard O'Brien's staged musical. It's going to be taken over the Durango Arts Center October 24th through November 1st. So just a nice spooky season run.
Okay, cool. My last headliner is one I probably should have changed up because when I wrote it, I didn't know we were going to be talking to Len so much about it, but I put down Diva Royale at Miners Alley. So this is running through Halloween. And as we mentioned, it's Jeff Daniels' play directed by Warren Sherrill. And as Len said, it's very, very funny. So if you can believe the artistic director of the theater, that it's a funny show. And I'm sure it is. I'll probably have a review of that after I see it on Thursday.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely be checking in with you next week on the podcast to see if that statement holds any water.
Yeah, I think
I'm rounding us out with 2 more shows, both happening at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. First up is the touring production of Disney's The Lion King. This is playing October 23rd through November 16th. This is the Julie Taymor puppet-led creation. I'll be reviewing this one for OnStage Colorado. I haven't seen this show since I was a kid, so I'll be curious to see if the magic still holds up. You said you saw this a couple years ago, and it did.
Yeah, the last time I saw it was in 2021, and it was fantastic. I had my granddaughters with me, and they really dug it. I mean, it really is an impressive show how they do it. So, and it's a nice long run, so plenty of opportunity to get out there and maybe some opportunity to get some ticket deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And my final show is being produced by the DCPA Theater for Young Audience, and it's a remount of their production of Goodnight Moon, adapted from the book written by Margaret Weiss Brown with pictures by Clement Hurd. This is running October 24th through January 25th, 2026. And you reviewed this for OnStage Colorado during its original run.
I did, yeah. And also I took my granddaughters to it, and they're too old now to see it. But, Goodnight Moon was one of my favorite. I have 5 children, and I've read a lot of bedtime stories. And when they were young, Goodnight Moon was one of my favorites because there's something so peaceful about it. The way the way it's illustrated has all these really interesting colors, and they reproduce that really nicely on the stage with the set. And it's just a wonderful show. It's funny. I remember my youngest son, Andy, finally at one point, he was like 10. He's like, all right, Dad, I think we're done with Goodnight Moon. Maybe he wasn't that old, but he had to beg me to stop reading it. I was like, oh man. But then I got grandchildren, so I got to read it again. So it's such a great book.
That's awesome. If you want to see it brought to life in another form, I would definitely recommend checking out Good Night, A Fiber Tale, which is
Yeah.
actually it's a yarn display created by some Southern Colorado fiber artists, Emil Odell and Ken Chapin. I got to chat with them before they're touring this installation that is made entirely. It's a room-size installation made from 152 miles of yarn that recreates the title, the cover page from this. It's going to be going and touring over to Parker in 2026, so over in your neck of the woods. And I would definitely recommend checking it out. It is really a sight to behold.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. It's like, I love what people think of.
Yeah, it was. They just loved the one of the artists was just like, I love this book. It was my passion project to make it, and it's been sanctioned by the publisher as well as the illustrator's son, who like personally approved it. It's the story of how it got created is deeply fascinating.
Yeah.
And they do plan to tour it kind of nationally, but they're starting out here in Colorado because that's where they're from. All right, well. On that note, that brings us to the end of the show this week. Alex, what's going to be up on the pod next week?
I don't know. I don't think we've figured it out yet. So we'll have something. I did want to mention one thing before we close out here is that I just added a theater deals page to the OnStage Colorado website, which it doesn't have much on there now, but I'm hopeful that, because I get a lot of the emails from the theaters and I see those. So as I see them, I will add them and update that page. But if you're a theater person and you have discounts or deals that you'd like to publicize, just send them to info@onstagecolorado.com. And we'll get them on there, and hopefully some theater goers will find some decent, some good deals.
That's a really great resource for folks who are wanting to see theater on the cheap.
Yep, or at least cheaper. So
cheap-ish.
Yeah. Also on the upcoming reviews to look at for the website, including I just posted my review of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I'm in the middle of working on my Frankenstein review from Platte Valley Theater Arts. Toni, we just posted your review of Dance Nation from Family. Judith Sears down in Colorado Springs went to kind of a long-running community theater in Colorado Springs called First Company, and they did a production of Brigadoon down there. I also will be on Wednesday. I'm going out to Wonderbound to see their rock ballet, so looking forward to that. They always do a great job.
Same.
Okay, well, I'll see you there. And then you're going to review Nosferatu with live orchestra, which I can't wait to hear about. And then we mentioned the Cult of Cthulhu and Lizzie. So lots of content coming up on the website to learn about what's on stage in Colorado this month.
Yeah, so if you want to stay up to date on all of those reviews that will be coming to the site, as well as everything else that's going on theaters across the state, you're going to want to subscribe to the OnStage Colorado Theater Blast, which is our weekly newsletter that just shares all of these reviews, as well as a pretty extensive calendar listing of all the shows that are happening for the upcoming weekend. So that comes out most Thursdays, give or take.
Usually.
But yeah, usually Thursday, barring life emergency or something like that. And it's a great resource to help you plan your weekend.
Yeah. It's funny. I recently, we used to do like kind of a note, and I'll get back to that, but like I've just been so busy with some of my other work. And I was also, I get a lot of newsletters, and I'm like, a lot of it, I don't read the preamble. I kind of skip to what the meat of it is. And I thought, well, maybe I should take a lesson from my own experience and kind of skip that, because there's plenty of stuff to read on the newsletter. So, but if you're dying for a note from me and Toni, let us know. We'll start it back up again. But for now, it's a naked newsletter, just jumps right into everything. So,
and I also see if for folks who want to keep up, we're also posting to the Denver Reddit now.
Yeah,
or you are.
Yeah, I've been putting in basically the calendar items in the metro area for the next week on the Reddit for Denver, and it's really getting a lot of views on there. So, and I know with some of your other projects, you've seen a lot of luck with Reddit too, and it's become Reddit is just I don't know, juggernaut of a news site for a lot of people.
It definitely is, and it really reminds you that there are a lot of different perspectives out there, like for instance, I shared one of my pieces recently about off-center closing down, and it just inspired a really interesting conversation. Not really even necessarily about off-center, but just about funding, arts funding in the Denver area. That I was like, wow, this is maybe a potential area for me to explore. Really got me thinking.
Great. All right, well, that's all for this week. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Alex Miller.
And I'm Toni Tresca, and we'll see you at the show.